Hey, thanks for checking out another video. Today we're going to talk about an incident, a critical incident out in Phoenix, Arizona. It took place about a year ago, and there was some footage recently released. So it started off as someone calling 911 to report a man in his 30s was holding had a gun and then assaulted his mother. It devolves into a standoff, and then an active shooter. Police are forced to make a forced entry into the home and kill the shooter, and some of the family members are also injured. I'm not going to really focus on the tactical side of this. What I'm more focused on is the state of mind of the first officers responding to scene. So that's what we're going to be paying attention to today. This is not intended to be critical of police in any kind of way, or to be political in any kind of way. It's just to look at policing, like critical incidents, and see if there's something we can learn. My perspective, I'm a former police officer, 8 or 9 years. I worked in a major American city and have responded to any kind of call you can think of and dealt with a variety of situations and been involved in shootings, pursuits. So the goal of this is to provide my perspective so that people who are not familiar with policing can sort of have a better understanding of what an officer's perspective might be in a situation that is very alien to them as someone who's not been involved in law enforcement. So please support the channel by liking the video, subscribing, sharing it in any way you can. I want as many people to benefit from this as possible. So let's go ahead and break down this video.
This guy, I'm gonna say he's in his 30s, and what it was, I think he witnessed a guy getting shot probably about a month ago, and ever since that happened, he's been somebody else. This is not him, but
Okay.
you know
But
he got
okay,
a big gun in that house.
So just think about this. It's 8 o'clock. You're responding to a call for service, and the report is that someone has assaulted their mother, that they were witness to something traumatic in the past. Now they have a firearm, and the people are concerned. There's other calls that this has been going on all day, and no one's reporting it. And again, this devolves into a barricade, and eventually they force entry into the home and end up killing this guy. But what do you think these officers would be thinking about as they approach this house? So this is video of the first officers approaching the house, and you would think, oh, they're going to be talking about the tactics, they're going to be worried about what they're facing, discussing resources, developing a plan of action. But that's not always what police are thinking about. They're at work just like anyone else. So the things that they think about might be counterintuitive, might be things that you would not assume that they would discuss, or things that would cross their mind. So let's listen to the conversation. And again, these are the first officers responding and approaching on foot.
Holding at 239 South 18th, please. Huh? Yeah. Yeah. How many are you down? Good for you.
I said, how many are you down? And the other officer held up his hand with like a clenched fist indicating like 0. And how many are you down? It means how many reports are you going to be writing today? So far in the shift, how many times have you responded to a call that requires you to generate a departmental report? Because that's workload for a police officer. So in this very stressful situation, when they're approaching a house where there's possibly an armed man who's been violent towards a family member, and officers are constantly told to be careful on domestic violence calls, be careful when there's a firearm involved. And in fact, this was a very dangerous situation. Someone ended up dying. Shots were exchanged and other people were injured. But they're focused on the very menial, day-to-day, run-of-the-mill issues that anyone at any job would be concerned about. Is how much more work am I going to have to do before I can get the hell out of here?
Good for you guys. Two.
And then, unfortunately, the officer who asked the original question is forced to admit that he's already down 2 reports. So he's at a deficit. So again, the point of this is not to talk about the tactics as much as it's to just think about the fact that police officers are just like anybody else, and they're thinking about strange things. They're thinking about their day-to-day obligations and what they need to do to get through their shift. So just a little bit of insight into what people might be thinking